So today is I have a very interesting video for you guys, um, and today's title is "What Have We Learned?" And although a lot of um, content creators don't want to touch on a delicate situation like this because it might hurt their channel, I'm going to touch on it because I think that it is important that we as individuals begin to understand how to look at content creation and how to apply what we see to how we are going to use a particular piece of equipment, whether it's a camera, a set of headphones, a mixer, whatever it may be. And so I think that this video is that I am creating today is very important in the realm that and in the content in which I am trying to explain to you guys that what it boils down to is that the equipment and the stuff that we see on social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or wherever it may be, right? It's not always the right video to give us the right advice for a certain product because the way that we are going to use it and how we are going to use it actually differs completely from what the content on that particular video is actually stating. So, with that said, I'm going to bring a couple of examples, and I don't mean no harm or anything because I think that this gentleman is one of the most respected uh, men that actually creates wonderful videos for you folks. But a certain scenario happened, and we'll see it in a couple of of videos, right? A couple of us situations, right? In which, for one, let's talk about, for example, the Canon R7. While the Canon R7 in some videos, right, they're saying that, yeah, the camera is a wonderful camera and this and that. Now we have to, as people that actually look at these videos, we have to look at the content and we have to look who it is that's creating these contents. Sometimes these content creators create content on stuff that they are very biased because they love the brand, and it shows the way that they represent the brand, the way that they talk about the brand. Sometimes they do it because this brand is actually endorsing them in many ways, or maybe they are pursuing a scenario where they can become possibly an ambassador for that particular company, and they will start generating a lot of videos with positive vibes to try to get the attention of this company. So, or said company, in this case, for example, let's use Canon as an example, just to see if Canon can can make them an ambassador, because they're going to benefit as an ambassador. They're going to get the products before anybody else. They're going to get, when they're going to release a product, they might send them a product so they can test it and generate some sort of a video, so that when they do this, it's all about the dollars because they're going to make money off of it, right? And then sometimes it is because the person really doesn't know how to operate the item, all right, because the item is new. And so just like anything, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how much experience you have. When you have something new, you have to understand how it works, you have to see how it works, you have to try it, you have to uh, become familiarized with the new buttons, the new way of doing things, the new way of setting it, the new new functions that it may bring into the picture. So the combination of all these things sometimes brings us information that, if we're not careful, we can use this information erroneously. And with that said, this person that I'm going to mention, really wonderful person, and he is really really good at what he does. He brings a camera into his environment. Okay, and I'm talking in specific to a gentleman named Peter Gregg. Now, Peter Gregg, what he used to be a wedding photographer. He hasn't done any weddings for years, but he does do a lot of live streams, and he does do a lot of reviews and products, and he does also have a kitchen. He does videos for kitchen recipes and stuff like that, right? But he uses the cameras as in a streaming environment. Now, for somebody else that possibly did a review that doesn't use this particular camera in a streaming environment, he might have never known that the camera really overheats. And Peter, trying it out, and I was there, because he did it live. The R7 overheats after 2 hours, it just shuts off. So, in a streaming environment where Peter sometimes will stream for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, all of a sudden the camera overheats and it shuts off. All right. So who else knows about this? Well, nobody really talked about it because nobody else is using this camera under those circumstances. And because they're not using the camera in those circumstances, they will tell you that the camera is great, right? But they don't really know the camera because they haven't tested the camera in every circumstance. They just know what little things that they did with that camera, and that's what they came out with. Another issue that this camera has that is very uh, very known with the new sensors that Canon has done is Canon has a problem. He has a huge problem. You see these LED lights? These LED lights here are red. If I turn my LED lights to blue, my camera is going to tell you that these LED lights are blue. With the R7, just like the R6, just like the R5, when you turn these lights to blue, you're not going to see them like if they were blue. You're going to see them like if they were a purplish color. All right, very very purple, right? And you can see it in one of the videos that Peter Gregg actually generated, because Peter has multiple cameras on his stream, to where the Sony showed the lights that were blue, the Nikon shows the lights that were blue, the Olympus, which he has also an Olympus, shows the lights that they were blue, but the Canon showed the lights as purple. Right, that's a flaw, because now if I want to make that light blue, which is how it's supposed to be, it's going to alter everything in the color of your whole picture, because when you alter the blue here, it also going to alter what my skin tones are going to look like. It's going to alter what my shirt is going to look like. It's going to alter everything. So that is a huge problem with that particular sensor. Now, I don't know about any previous sensors. I'm only talking about what I do know, which happens to be the sensor that the R7 has. It happens to be the sensor that the R6 has, and it happens to be the sensor that the R5 has. And so that is an inconsistency. So maybe, if you were to shoot just with that camera, right, nobody would know. For example, if I did not know that this LED was actually blue, and you were to see it for the first time, I would say, oh wow, how pretty that purple LED light is. But in reality, unless I really know that that is supposed to be blue, you won't know that. But it shows in one of the videos that Peter Gregg did. Now, with that said, we have people like these are guys that are are not well, uh, not 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 really well informed, because they're not professional in these areas, right? And they're just beginning to sort of learn as they go along, right? A wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy. Randall, which is a guy that is in amongst our group. He takes out a Sony camera, and then he rise tries to do vlogging with it. And as he's doing vlogging, he sees how bad the camera really is. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe he looked at other videos saying how great the camera is, right? But for the situation in which the camera was being used, as Randall was using it, it's not a good camera. All right. And so we look at all these things, right? And then we look at issues and problems. Now, no camera, all right? With that said, no camera, including Fujifilm, because I love Fujifilm, including Fujifilm, is a perfect camera, right? So the camera really, is not about the camera, but it's really about the person behind the camera, knowing all the deficiencies that the camera has, and knowing how to work around the deficiencies that the camera has to be able to provide you content that is really good. All right, that's what makes the difference between somebody that is good, all right, and somebody that just talks about cameras and puts them up on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? And or knocks them out of a pedestal, right? So when you look at things, of this nature, then you have to ask the question, and I have to ask the question: what have I learned? How much have I learned by being, right, or by watching certain channels, right? Because certain channels, you only teach you certain things under certain environments, but those environments that they're teaching you in are not even close to how you're going to use that product. And that goes whether it's a camera, whether it is a microphone, whether it is a car, an RV, whatever it is, all right, whatever it is. And so we need to learn, all right, to to be more critical as to what we see and what it is that we use to be able to give us proper advice in a way, right, that reflects how it is that we ourselves are going to be using that product. So if I want to use a camera for weddings, I want to go out and see somebody that uses that particular camera that I am looking at possibly buying, right, under the environment of someone using it in a wedding, because that's how I'm gonna use it. And that is really, what we need to begin to learn. All right, how to be able to decipher and not just look at videos, just because we want to look, and then we got all these things in our head, and instead of being focused, we are unfocused, and we make decisions that are that might hurt us financially. And maybe if it doesn't hurt us financially, it might hurt us because it takes longer for us to be able to get what we need as a tool, because what we selected was the improper tool, and now we have to go back out to the drawing board and look for something to substitute and to replace the product that we chose, which was not the proper product in the first place, right? And so, with that said, these examples, all right, that I'm bringing to you, wholeheartedly, what I'm saying, as a person that teaches critical thinking, in a time, right, where we see so much garbage, on the internet. And what I mean by garbage, I don't mean necessarily that everything is garbage, but everything is garbage when it relates to me, all right, or to you, and how it is that you are going to be using that product. So if you, for example, if again, let's use the case of about a wedding camera, right? If you are using a certain camera for a wedding and you start seeing that same product that you're trying to buy in being used in sporting, or being used to shoot wildlife, or being used to shoot astronomy, all that other stuff is garbage to you, because it's not going to reflect how it is that you're going to use your tool, right? And so, with that said, we need to learn how to do some real credible research. We call it credible research because that's what universities call it. That is really the right term. But the reality in a layman's term is we need to be able to learn how to look at stuff that is going to reflect how it is that we're going to be using these products, so that when we do make those decisions, we don't make decisions that will hurt us. So that is a perfect example. As a matter of fact, Peter Gregg, as to what I heard today, is returning the Canon R7 because it's not a good camera. It's not a good camera for the way that that camera is going to be used under his environment. All right. Maybe for somebody else it is. Somebody that just wants to go to Disney World and shoot pictures at Disney World, and and that's all they do, then that might be a perfect camera. But for Peter's scenario, it's not. In my scenario, I would never choose the Canon R7. But my scenario has to do not because of the product, but because something different that nobody talks about, which is the company. And that's the second thing that I want to very briefly hit on. Companies, all right, a lot of people talk about products, all right, but you also have to look at companies, all right. Companies as a whole, some companies really don't give the proper support that they need to, all right, to the consumer. You buy a product and you need some sort of support, and sometimes you try calling them and you can't even get a hold of them. A perfect example is in this RV that I have, right? I bought supposedly the best system for solar. All right, I bought a whole package from Renogy, right? So my inverter, I have a 1,000 watt inverter. My inverter went kaput on me, right? And I've been trying to get a hold of Renogy, and Renogy is, you can't get a hold of them. All right, you can't get a hold of no technical support. You cannot get a hold of nothing. So even though it is very highly rated, right, Renogy, in my book, it's the worst company to deal with, because I need a company that if I am on the road and if I need to find out something, why it's not working, can I fix it, what do I need to do, I need to be able to have a company that can give me that support. So Renergy, now in my book, is probably one of the worst companies you can deal with. I will not deal with them anymore. And that goes with any company, whether it's a camera company, whether it's a stereo company, whether it's a company dealing with televisions or whatever it may be. You'll want to make sure that you have some sort of support that is reachable, not a support that will give you the runaround for an hour by a robot telling you, if you need if you live in USA, press 1. If you speak English, press 2. If you know what I'm saying, and you're there for a whole hour, going in circles, what I'm saying, by these robotic robots, that sucks. That really sucks. And then you have companies that really are not for the consumer. The only thing they are is about their pocket, and everything else is pretty much third, fourth, and last place. And so that's the other thing. And that's where you also need to know, all right, that what you're buying, from a company that has some sort of support, some sort of uh, of a way that if you are stuck or you get in a situation where you need help, that you can get that help. And so, with that said, this is just a video, pretty much, sort of teaching a little bit more, right, about being able to choose what it is that you are going to buy. And when you do your research, when you look at things that are going to influence whether or not that is a product that is going to benefit you, use use items and research and videos and information that also puts that particular product under the same situation, the same scenario, the same usage, right? That you yourself are going to give it. So, with this said, this is Charles Richards. I thank you for watching this very quick video. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next video, cheers.